Good afternoon, everyone. So we did about inverse variation, direct variation yesterday. Today we will start with inverse variation. I gave you the gist of inverse variation.
Sir,
Yeah,
sir,
I saw that remarks and
yeah,
comments,
okay,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Rest of you, how much did you get in computers? Message me your computer marks also. Okay. So when we say inverse variation, we have two quantities x and y. Okay, in such a way that xy is a constant. Okay, and both x and y, this will also be a constant and it will be positive. So it will be both a positive constant. Then they are said to be in inverse variation. And this is again called the constant of proportion. Constant of variation. Right? So earlier we had done x is equal to ky, that was direct variation. So here we will get x is equal to k into 1 upon 1. If we have xy is equal to k. All right. So similarly, we'll have x1, y1 is k, or x1, y1 is equal to x2, y2. So we'll have, if there are four variables now, x1, y1, which will be equal to x2, y2. Or continuing this, we will get x1 upon x2 is equal to y2 upon y1. Remember what was there in direct variation? What was direct variation about? Anyone tell me what was the relationship between x and y in direct variation? None of you remember? Direct variation, what was it? Everyone sleeping today? X1 upon x2
Sir,
is equal to
x1 upon y1.
upon y2. This was direct variation, isn't it? Whereas in inverse variation, we have x1 upon x2 is equal to y2 upon y1. Okay, so this is the difference which is there. So this y1, y2, instead of that, it becomes y2 upon y1. Or we can further have x1 is to x2 is in proportion to y2 is to y1. Okay, so these are the basic fundamentals of inverse variation other than direct variation. If you understand unitary method, it's very simple to do. I'll show you that also. In that case, you don't even need to remember this. Right? Just remember that the product is a constant, whereas in direct variation, the product was not the constant. X1 upon y1 was the constant there. Or x upon y was a constant. Right? So if we compare direct variation and inverse variation now, in direct variation, what did we have? We had x1 upon y1, which was the constant. Whereas in inverse variation, we will have x1, y1 is equal to k. In inverse variation, direct variation, we had x1 upon y1 is equal to x2 upon y2. Whereas in inverse variation, we have x1, y1 is equal to x2, y2. Coming on to this further, we had x1 upon x2 is equal to y1 upon y2. Whereas in inverse variation, we have x1 upon x2 is equal to y2 upon y1. So this is the basic differences between all three cases in direct variation and inverse variation. Please copy this down. If anybody has any doubts, please ask me. I will not be repeating this again. Please copy this down. This is for inverse variation. And I've given you the comparison of inverse and direct so that you're clear on the terms and there is no doubt in you. So if they tell you directly that it is these numbers are in inverse variation, you can apply these rules. Whereas if they tell you that it's in direct variation, you can apply these rules. But in a lot of word problems, you will have to figure out whether it is direct variation or inverse variation on your own by applying your logic. Please copy these. Done? Anybody still copying? Raise your hand if you're still copying this page. Okay. Everyone, please copy this page down. These are important points related to direct and inverse. If these points are not clear, you will have difficulty solving the questions. Rishima, it's not the same in both of them. Please read the inverse variation. Rishima, the first case in direct variation, we have x1 upon x2 is equal to y1 upon y2. Whereas in the case of inverse variation, we have x1 upon x2 is equal to y2 upon y1. It's not the same.
Yes, sorry, sir.
And this comes from this step itself. You can derive it from here.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Just remember, inverse is product, whereas direct is division. So if you remember that, it's very easy to solve these.
So could you please repeat inverse is what?
Inverse is a product. It's a product of the two variables.
Okay.
x1 into y1. Whereas in direct variation, it is the division of both, x1 upon y1.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
So let's go ahead. Check if the following is an inverse variation? I'm writing IV for short for inverse variation. We have the values given to us as okay, X and Y. We have 3, 12, 4, 9, 1, 36, 6, 8, 12, and 4. Check if it's an inverse variation and let me know yes or no. And the values which are there. Let me know your answers. Parth, that is correct. Rest of you, hurry up and solve this. In case you're not able to solve, raise your hand. Yes, Aryan? Doubt?
No, sir, I'm not able to solve it.
Okay. Anyone else is not able to solve, please raise your hand. What about the answers from the rest of you? I'm assuming that you're able to solve it since you haven't raised your hand except Rishima and Aryan. Avni, Krishna, Mahuri, Rajvi, Samita, Sara, Sia, Siddhant, Akriti. Answers, please. 2 more minutes. Aryan, unmute yourself. Rishima, Mahuri, listen in. So when I say any variables are in inverse proportion, what do I mean? Or if two quantities are in inverse variation, what do I mean, Aryan?
Sir, can you please repeat?
If I say that two quantities x and y are in inverse variation, what does that mean? That means that the product is a constant.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how many items do we have over here? Let this be the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So we have 5 different quantities of x and y, or values of x and y. That
Yes,
means
sir.
1 into y1 will be equal to x2 into y2, which will be equal to x3 into y3, which will be equal to x4,
X4 into Y4
which
is
will be
equals
equal to
to,
x5 into y5, right?
yes, sir.
Which will be a
Yes.
constant, right? So the product will always be the same value for all of them.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so what do? We check x1, y1. What is x1, y1? 3 into 12,
Yes, sir.
which is 36. So the constant should be 36. So this is the value of k in this case. What is x2,
Okay,
y2?
sir.
4 into 9, which is also 36.
36.
Next one,
So it's 36. 1 into 36 is equals to 36.
so we get 36. Next one, x4, y4,
So it is 48.
6 into 8, which is 48. So here we see that it is not equal to. And what about the last one?
So again 48. 12 into 4 is equals to
12 into
48.
4, which is again 48. Right? So here also we write not equal to, because these all have to be equal, right? So now what do we
Yes,
see? Only 3 of them are equal and 2 of them are equal. But for the entire sequence to be in inverse variation, all of them have to add up to this value k. So either all would be 36 or all would be 48, isn't it? Since that is
okay,
not the
sir.
case, then this sequence is not in inverse variation. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Remember, we did a similar problem in direct variation in which we did x1 upon y1 and then we checked for that. Then we did x2 upon
Yes, sir.
y2 and checked for that. And then we saw whether it comes out to be a constant. This is when we apply direct variation. In inverse variation, this is what we need to apply. Okay? It's
Okay,
the
sir.
product of the quantities. It has to come out to a constant. Please copy this down. We'll go on to another sum. Is everyone clear on this? Sia, Sarah,
Yes, sir.
Samita, Rajvi, Krishna.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please copy this down as an example. Done? Can I move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Let's do this one. If P and Q vary inversely, find the values of x, y, and z in the following table. So we are given P and Q as 8, 2.5, 2, x, y, 5, 10, z. I want you to send me all the values of x, y, z together. Don't send them individually. I will not accept that. Now we have been told that they vary inversely. So again, use the same product rule and see if you can solve it. Yes, Aryan? Aryan, doubt?
No, sir. I raised it by mistake.
Solve this quickly. Rishima, that is
Sir,
correct.
is it 25 or is it 2.5?
2.5.
Okay.
Parth, that's correct. Siddhant Singhal, that's correct. See, once you get the hang of it, it's very easy to solve. Avni, correct? If anyone's not able to solve it, raise your hand. I want answers from everyone. Suramya, Sia, Sara, Samita, Mahuri, Krishna, Rajvi. Answers, please. I'll give you 2 minutes to solve this. Mahuri, X is not correct. Y and Z are correct. Check for X again. Mahuri, it's correct now. Krishna,
Yes, sir.
let's solve this. Tell me, what do I do?
Actually, I don't know how to solve this question.
Then why did you not raise your hand? Why are you
I was
waiting?
confused.
Why are you waiting for me to call out your name?
I was confused.
And why are you not able to solve this? I've already told you the concept. Did you understand the concept of when I say inverse variation? Krishna, have you understood what is it? What do I mean when two quantities are in inverse variation?
No, sir, I actually missed 5-10 minutes of the starting.
I'm not able to understand what you're speaking. Either you speak up or just increase your volume. It's too low. I cannot understand. What are you saying? You did not?
Understand because I couldn't join the meeting earlier because of internet connection.
You were
I
connected.
missed the first 10 minutes of the meeting.
You were connected when I was teaching you, right?
Yes, sir. So, yes, sir, but you had explained half the thing already, so I couldn't understand.
So did you unmute yourself and ask me to explain it again?
Sir, I thought I'll understand when you solve a question or two.
If you're not understood, you need to unmute yourself and ask, okay? Understand again, whenever we
Yes,
have
sir.
two variables, P and Q, if they are an inverse variation, they add up to a constant K. That's it. So P1, Q1 will be equal to P2, Q2. It's as simple as that. Okay, so can you apply this now and let me know how do I solve this?
Yes, sir.
Tell me, what will the first one, which in both the values of P and Q have been given to you. So can you find out the value of K? What will K be equal
Yes,
to?
sir.
So we'll write P1
Will
Q1,
be
which is equal to
8 upon 2.5.
8 into
8
2.5,
into 2.5.
which
Yes.
is
Or 8 into 2.5.
20.
17. Yes, 20.
20, isn't it? Krishna, keep yourself unmuted. Aryan, that is
Yes, sir.
correct. So that means now all the other values of P and Q all have to total the product as 20. So now I can
Yes.
say that P2 Q2 should be equal to 20. Yes.
Yes, sir.
What's the value of P2?
Sir, 2 into x.
So 2x is 20. What will be the value of x?
So 10.
10. Same way, P3 Q3 will total again 20. What's the value of P3 Q3?
So y into 5.
So y into 5 is again 20. So what's the value of y?
So 4.
Do the last one, P4 and Q4
10 into z.
is equal to 20. So what's the value of z?
So 2.
2. So did you get how to solve this?
Yes, sir.
Again, Krishna, if you're not able to understand anything, I want you to unmute yourself and ask or raise your hand so that I know you have a
Yeah,
doubt.
okay.
Any doubts, anyone regarding this? Sarah, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Siddhant Garve, is it clear? This is the same principle as direct variation. Only differences in direct variation. We did P1 upon Q1, which was K, whereas in inverse variation, we are doing P1 into Q1, which was equal to K. That's the only difference that is there between direct and inverse in the method of solving. Rest, everything will be the same. Siddhant Garve, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do another question now. Let's do a word problem. Okay, I'm typing out the sum. Please solve this. Okay, so this one. A school has 8 periods in a day of 45 minutes duration. How long would each period be? The school now has 9 periods in a day, assuming the total number of hours of the school hours remains the same. So in these kind of questions, whenever we have word problems, the first thing to understand is that whether it is going to be a sum of direct variation or inverse variation. So the first question that you're going to ask yourself is it direct variation or inverse variation? This is the first question in any word problem. So what do we have? We have periods now. How do we answer this question? We have periods and we have minutes. Total hours is the same for both. So now if I tell me, if the number of periods increase, okay, will the number of minutes per hour per period decrease or increase, assuming that the total hours remains the same? Parth, that is correct. Rishima, correct. Can anybody answer this? If the number of periods increase and I have the total number of hours the same, will the minutes per period increase or decrease?
Sir,
Avni, correct?
decrease.
Decrease?
Decrease.
So
Inverse variation.
decreased, isn't it? Because we will have to shorten the periods to accommodate that extra period. We will have to shorten the minutes to accommodate the extra period. That means that if you see that one arrow is going up and the other arrow is coming down, then this is a inverse variation relationship. Okay. Siddhant Singhal, that's correct. So now that we know its inverse variation, again, do the same thing. Periods, minutes. Okay, or you can write minutes here. This is x and y, right? And solve it accordingly what we were doing earlier in direct variation. Mahuri, that's correct. Quickly solve this, everyone. Many of you have already solved this, and that is correct. So this is very, very important. Okay, please understand this is the first step, which is very important. You need to be able to figure out whether it is direct or inverse. The question will not tell you. See, there's nowhere in the question where it's mentioned that it's an inverse variation. So this is a logical step that you need to do, and with practice, it will become stronger. Ask yourself first, is it direct variation or inverse variation, and then apply the relevant formula there. Rest of you, hurry up, 2 minutes more. Samita, that's correct. Rest of you, hurry up. Siddhant Garve, Sia, Sara, Rajvi, Krishna, Aryan, answer. I've already solved more than 50% of the problem. No, Krishna, that's not correct. Krishna, think about your answer. Is that an appropriate answer? So Ramya, that's correct. We haven't asked you the total time, Krishna. I've asked you each period, how long will it be? One more minute, everyone. Siddhant Garve, that's correct. Sara,
Yes, sir.
tell me, what do I do?
Okay, so
What is the value of x here in the periods? What do I write?
8.
Okay. And what about minutes, the y value?
45.
Okay. And x2 will become?
Sorry?
What will x2 become? This is x1, isn't it? Remember we were doing x1 and y1?
Yeah, yes.
And this will become x2 and y2. So what is the value of x2, y2, x2, sorry, x2 become? Because we have the 8 periods, now we need to find out for 9 periods.
Yes.
And what do we need to find out? The value of y2. So assume y2 to be as x. Okay, now we've already determined that this is an inverse variation. So inverse variation, what is the formula that we apply? Sarah, inverse variation, what formula?
Um,
You haven't been paying attention?
I just can't remember.
How can you not remember? We just did it around 5 minutes back. X1, Y1 is equal to the product rule. Inverse variation is product rule. X1, Y1 is equal to? Sarah, complete this. Sarah, please read what I have written. Sarah?
X1, Y1 is equal to
Yeah.
XZ, YZ.
X2, Y2. There's no Z here, right? It's only 2 and 2. So what's the value of X1 now?
So the value of X1 is 8.
8 into, what's Y1?
45.
Is equal to X2. What's X2?
18.
No. Where's the 18? Nine, isn't it?
Yeah.
And value of Y2 is X. So can you tell me what's the value of X now? Eight into 45 divided by 9, which will be? Sarah, solve this quickly. 40 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. So when I say anything is inverse variation, what do I need to apply? X1, Y1 is equal to X2, Y2, which will be equal to a K in case it's applicable. Okay. Krishna, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Do another problem quickly. Use the same philosophy and the same method to solve this one now. Quickly do this. I will give you only 3 minutes to solve. The price of bananas is 3 rupees per dozen. Aditya can buy 12 dozen bananas with the money he has. If the price of bananas increases by 10 rupees per dozen, how many dozen bananas can Aditya buy? Read the question carefully. The price increases by, the price does not change to 10. It's increasing by this. Quickly solve this. 3 minutes to solve. Let me know how many dozen bananas he can buy. Same. First, figure out whether it's in direct or inverse, and then use the formula accordingly. Okay, that's correct. Rest of you hurry up, last minute. Come on, these are very simple problems. Samita, that's correct, but there's no units, Samita, so marks will be last. Please get into the habit of writing units. Yes, the answer is correct now. Parth, no units, again you've lost half a mark. Answer is correct. Get into the habit of writing units, everyone. But dozen itself is plural. There's nothing called dozens. Okay? Dozen is a plural verb. Yes, Krishna, correct answer. You did not need to tell me the value, how much money he has. That is not asked. Just tell so many dozen. That's it. Sia? Sia, are you there? You are not
Yes,
audible.
sir.
Okay, solve this. So let's take x1, y1 again. So what will x1 become here? We have 12 dozen. I can buy it at 30 rupees a dozen. Now what's the next step I'm going to do? Sia?
Oh, write down x2 and y2.
Okay, so what do I write as x2 and y2? So what do we need to find out? How many dozen? So what should I take as the variable?
X2 is equal to,
I'll take this as x2 itself. So done, Garvey, that's correct.
yes,
And what about the price? What will the price become?
10 rupees.
10 rupees. Read the question carefully.
Y2 is equal to 10.
Is it 10? Read the question carefully, Sia.
Okay, no. 30
Okay.
plus 10,
Which is
40.
40. Now, tell me, if I have a certain amount of money and the price of that item increases, can I buy more of it or less of it? If price increases, will I
Less.
get more items or less? Items will fall.
Less.
So now you see that this is inverse variation.
Yes.
So now apply the formula for inverse variation. What is the formula for inverse variation for x and y?
Y1 is equal to x2, y2.
Okay, quickly solve this. Just replace the
12
value.
into 30 is
Yeah.
equal to x2 into 40.
What's the value of x2? So that's single, that's correct. Yes, here, what's x2?
So just a minute. Nine.
9 what? Dozen. Okay, get into the habit of writing the units, because if you don't write the units, the
Yes.
answer goes wrong and then you lose half a mark. Right? So this is what we need to do in inverse variation. That's the correct answer. Usually now get into the habit of writing your answer in bracket, in a box, and writing A and S on the right hand side. This is the pattern in which you have to start writing it for the 10th board. So if you get into the habit of doing this right now, it will be better. Any doubts, anyone, regarding inverse variation? I'll be sending a worksheet on direct and inverse. The sums will be mixed. They will not tell you whether it's direct and inverse, and you'll have to solve it and figure it out on your own. I'll try to send you around 6, 7 or 8 questions over the weekend. Please solve that, okay? That's it for today for maths. We'll just take a break for a couple of minutes and start science again. Any doubts, anyone?